You did a pretty good job.
Okay.
It's a feeling of expression, really. That's about it.
Eddie Kendricks and David Ruffin were great singers, but they couldn't stand each other, and much of it had to do with one woman, Tammi Terrell. Both men had affairs with her at the same time, and that led to a feud.
I'm just not the kind of guy that, well, brown nose. I say what I think I should say.
David Ruffins also had these addiction-fueled episodes where he displayed embarrassing behavior at shows and on the road. And Eddie Kendricks? He clashed with other members, especially over creative differences. How did these two stars become so hostile to each other? Let's find out. David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks were two important members of the Temptations.
You did a pretty good job.
Okay.
It's a feeling of expression, really. That's about it.
They were both lead singers and had very strong voices. Each of them brought something special to the group. David had a loud and powerful voice. Eddie had a soft and sweet voice. Fans loved both of them. But because both men were so talented, sometimes they wanted more attention than the other. They each wanted to sing lead more often, which caused problems between them. So what fueled the drama was Tammi Terrell. David Ruffin and Tammi Terrell started dating in 1966. At first, their relationship looked happy and full of love. David had a smooth voice, dressed in stylish clothes, and always seemed confident. Many people loved him, and many women wanted to be with him. Tammi, a rising singer at Motown, was drawn to his charm and talent. She thought David was the perfect man. At first, they went on fun dates and spent a lot of time together. It seemed like a dream come true for Tammi, but soon Tammi learned something that hurt her deeply. David was already married. He had a wife, 3 children, and even another girlfriend living in Detroit. Tammi didn't know this when she fell in love with him. One day, David even asked Tammi to marry him. He gave her a ring, and Tammi was so excited that she told the crowd during a performance that they were engaged. She believed they would spend their lives together. But when she found out the truth about his other family and lies, she felt crushed. It was like her heart broke in pieces. She didn't understand how someone who said he loved her could hide so much.
I've heard so many rumors about the David and Tammi story that it's almost laughable.
Their relationship started to fall apart. David had a serious problem with drugs, and it made his moods change quickly.
He had all kind of extremes. Good guy, believe me, excellent guy when he wasn't in one of those extremes.
One minute he was kind, and the next he was angry. They argued often, and sometimes the fights became physical. Tammi tried to hold on because she still loved him, but the stress made her feel sick. She told a magazine that the pressure and pain from the relationship gave her headaches and made her feel weak. People close to her said she cried a lot and didn't know what to do. Things got worse when David became violent. In 1967, after one big argument, he hit Tammi on the head with his motorcycle helmet.
Tammi and David fought, but Tammi held her own. He did hit Tammi in the side of the face with a motorcycle helmet, but
this left her with even more pain. Some people said he also hit her with a hammer, but no one could prove that.
I had heard that David hit her with a hammer and hatchet and, just all kinds of crazy stories.
Tammi was scared and finally knew she had to leave. She realized that staying with David was only hurting her more. So she broke up with him and decided to move on. But the damage was already done.
Let's face it, Tammi was abused. She told me that Ruffin had hit her, very hard.
But while Tammi was still in a relationship with David, there were rumors that she became close to Eddie. Some people said Tammi was trying to get back at David for cheating on her. Others believed she and Eddie truly liked each other. There was no proof, but these rumors caused problems between David and Eddie. They were bandmates, but now they didn't trust each other. This made things tense inside the group. People around them said that the friendship between David and Eddie was never the same after that. David felt very hurt and angry when he heard the rumors about Tammi and Eddie. He already had problems with Eddie because they both wanted to be the star in the group. Now this made it worse. David felt like Eddie had betrayed him. The two men started to act cold toward each other. They didn't joke or laugh like before. Jealousy grew between them, and the group began to feel the tension. It wasn't just about the music anymore. Now it was about love and trust too. Both men wanted to be in control, not just on stage, but in their personal lives too. That made the situation even more painful and complicated. Their competition started to feel personal, not just professional. This made everything inside the group feel uncomfortable and difficult. Tammi herself was going through a lot during this time. She decided to leave David. That was the end of their relationship. Tammi felt tired and heartbroken. She had hoped for love and respect, but instead, she got pain and betrayal. Her health also started to get worse. All the stress from the relationship made things harder for her. She became weaker, both in body and in spirit.
She took my hand, she said, feel right here on her head. And it was like a golf ball sized knot on her head. And she said, my head is killing me.
Even after the breakup, Tammi's health kept getting worse. Doctors later found out that she had a brain tumor. She had to go through many surgeries, but nothing seemed to help. By 1970, Tammi was very sick. She couldn't walk without a wheelchair, she lost her hair, and she even lost her eyesight. She had 8 brain surgeries, but none of them worked. She was only in her 20s, but her body was very weak. Many people believe the stress and abuse she went through made her illness worse.
Her mouth was twisted and her eyes were disoriented. We assumed that she had a stroke, but it turned out to be a brain tumor.
David's anger did not stop after Tammi left him. He became even more upset, especially with Eddie Kendricks. David believed he had been made to look like a fool, and that hurt his pride. He started having angry outbursts. He yelled a lot and sometimes made threats. People around him were scared of how angry he got. These outbursts caused more problems in the group. The members of the Temptations didn't know how to handle it. It became harder to work together as a team. David's behavior became a big problem. His anger and jealousy were out of control. In the end, this led to him leaving the group. His actions and emotions became too much to handle, and it hurt his career and his relationships with the people around him. Eddie felt like people were not treating him right. He believed he was not getting the respect he deserved. He had a voice that was different from the other singers in the group. He wanted songs that matched his voice better. He thought he could shine more if the music fit him. But the people in charge at Motown, especially Berry Gordy, didn't seem to care what he wanted. They made choices for the group without asking each person how they felt. Eddie didn't like that. He felt ignored, like his opinion didn't matter. He started to feel left out and unhappy. Motown was not an easy place to work. The company had strict rules. Berry Gordy controlled almost everything. He picked the clothes the artists wore, told them how to behave in public, and chose the songs they sang. Many artists followed these rules without saying a word. They wanted to stay in good standing with the company.
I'm just not the kind of guy that, well, Brown knows. I say what I think I should say.
But Eddie was not like that. He grew up in Alabama, where people were proud and spoke up when things felt wrong. He was used to standing up for himself, and he didn't like being pushed around. He wanted to feel free, like a real artist, not just someone following orders.
And I'm from Alabama, and he's from Michigan, and maybe people out of Michigan, Alabama, are not supposed to talk back. But when I leave Alabama, that's all they tell you, not to talk back. So when I leave, I intend to speak my piece.
Eddie was not afraid to say what he thought, but speaking up caused problems. Berry Gordy and Eddie never became close. Eddie said they didn't really know each other well, but he could feel that Gordy didn't like him. Eddie thought the reason was simple. He didn't just follow the rules. He asked questions. He wanted to be part of the decision-making. He didn't like when something felt wrong, and he wasn't afraid to say so.
Barry Gordy is a man I do not know. I only met him about 3 times. I really don't know anything about him. I just know he didn't particularly care for me.
In 1970, Eddie pushed back even more. He wanted to know where the group's money was going. He believed there were problems with how Motown handled their finances. So he tried to get the group to stop performing and recording. He said they should refuse to work until Motown allowed an outside person to check the books. This almost stopped the Temptations from moving forward. It caused a lot of fighting between the members. Some thought Eddie was doing the right thing. Others thought he was making trouble. The group started falling apart from the inside. Eddie also had many problems with the other group members, especially Otis Williams.
Johnny Mae Matthews put that yoke on my back a long time ago. It wasn't anything that I said, hey, I'm going to be the leader. It was a thing when she would call a meeting, I would always be there like 5 minutes or so earlier. And so she, I guess, recognized that quality.
They didn't agree on a lot of things. Eddie liked the old ballad-style songs, the ones that were soft and emotional. But Otis and others wanted to follow the new music style, which was more loud and funky, like psychedelic soul. Eddie didn't like that new direction. This difference caused many fights between them. They started arguing all the time about music, leadership, and other business issues. It was no longer just about the songs. It became personal. The fighting between Eddie and Otis got worse over time.
Jack, and when you are a group, you have to move and think as one unit. You cannot have 5 guys going, 5 different directions.
It was not just quiet disagreements. It turned ugly. There was even a story that Eddie once spat in Otis's face during a big fight. That showed just how bad things had gotten between them. Eddie felt like Otis had too much control and wasn't listening to the others in the group. Eddie wanted things to change, but Otis wanted to keep everything the same. He believed his way of running the group was what made them successful. Things became so bad that in 1971, Eddie finally left the Temptations. He said he was tired of not being heard. He wanted to follow his own path and make his own choices. He believed he could do better on his own. He no longer wanted to deal with the arguments and the way the group was being run. He thought it was time to try something new, even if it was risky. Eddie was ready to take that chance. Even after he left the group, things didn't always go smoothly for Eddie. Years later, in 1991, he went to David Ruffin's funeral in Detroit. Eddie helped carry David's casket as a pallbearer. But during the funeral, something surprising happened. The police arrested Eddie right there. They said he owed $26,000 in child support and had not paid it. This news spread fast and made Eddie look bad in the eyes of the public. It was a sad moment during what was already a very emotional day. David, notably his developing cocaine addiction, leading to missed rehearsals and performances, which became a source of concern for the group.
He had all kind of extremes. Good guy, believe me, excellent guy when he wasn't in one of those extremes.
It is believed that David's drug misuse started at some point in the 60s, though it was only in the later part of the decade when it truly became a problem. Ruffin first entered drug rehabilitation in 1967. He was getting high so much. The man was a walking skeleton. Ruffin's friend Linster Butch Merle told a source, looking back on the singer's later years and how he had yet to kick his drug habit. Speaking to the same outlet, Terrell Hall of Hall and Oates shared his experiences working with Ruffin in the 1980s and sadly acknowledged that at the time, the musician was hanging with a bad crew of people who enabled his use of illicit substances. In the wake of the Supremes' name change to Diana Ross and the Supremes. In early 1967, David aspired to assume a central role within the Temptations, akin to Diana Ross's prominence in her group. Consequently, he insisted on a change to the group name, proposing David Ruffin and the Temptations. This proposition sparked disagreements between David and the de facto leader, Otis Williams. The breaking point occurred when Ruffin, prioritizing attendance at a performance by his new girlfriend, Barbara Gail Martin, over a scheduled Temptations concert in Cleveland, Ohio. This prompted the group to terminate Ruffin's association with the Temptations.
Might sound strange, but I wish it would rain.
David encountered legal issues when he was arrested during a birthday celebration in Memphis. The charges included disorderly conduct, stemming from his alleged refusal to comply with requests to vacate the premises. It was reported that David had purportedly made threats against certain police officers and their families during transport to jail. Ruffin, however, denied making threats and was released on his own recognizance. Ruffin faced financial and legal consequences as he was charged $5,000 and sentenced to 6 months in a low-security prison in Terre Haute, Indiana, for failure to pay taxes totaling over $310,000, spanning the years 1975 to 1977. He served 4 months and was granted early release for good behavior. On May 19, 1986, Ruffin entered a plea of no contest to a charge of receiving and concealing stolen property valued at less than $100, specifically a Colt .3 2-caliber handgun. The accompanying charges of assault and battery, as well as receiving stolen property valued at more than $100, were dropped. He received a fine of $50 plus $100 in court costs. David faced further legal complications when he spent a night in jail following an arrest in Detroit during a raid. The charges included cocaine possession with intent to distribute less than 20 grams. Although found not guilty of possession, he was convicted of using the drug. Subsequently, Ruffin received a sentence of 2 years probation and 50 days of community service. In 1989, due to repeated probation violations, he was ordered to undergo drug rehabilitation and successfully completed a 28-day treatment program at the Ariba Casriel Institute in New York. In the band biography Temptations, Otis Williams wrote about the last time he saw David alive, which was at a Las Vegas concert just a few months before his death. David came backstage to see us after the show, and while I had known David as a drug user since the late 1960s, I didn't recall ever seeing him look so bad. Williams remembered. The drugs left him looking sunken and emaciated. Williams would later explain that he knew right then and there that Ruffin's days were most likely numbered, given his poor physical shape at the time he was catching up with his former bandmate.
I understand he was out in California, out in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, but he was begging, and the guys gave him a little bit of money just to get rid of him.
Despite a successful career and having recently completed a month-long tour of England alongside fellow musicians Kendricks and Edwards, David tragically passed away on June 1, 1991, due to an accidental overdose of crack cocaine.
Alcohol and all types of drugs were just a part of the David Ruffin lifestyle.
The incident occurred after Ruffin reportedly collapsed at a crack house in West Philadelphia, accompanied by his friend Donald Brown. Brown then transported Ruffin to the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania, where, despite nearly an hour of efforts by emergency room personnel, he was declared dead at 3:55 a.m. The official cause of death was attributed to an adverse reaction to drugs, cocaine. According to reports from the Associated Press, Ruffin and a man named William Noel had allegedly shared 10 vials of crack cocaine inside Noel's West Philadelphia residence in the hours leading up to his death. While the authorities ruled the cause of death as accidental, Ruffin's family and friends expressed suspicions of foul play, citing the disappearance of a money belt containing $40,000 from his person. Notably, Ruffin's then-girlfriend, Diane Showers, conveyed that she was not surprised by his passing. By the time of his death, David Ruffin was living in Philadelphia with his girlfriend, Diane Showers. Diane had met David at the age of 14 when she was just a young fan of his music. She remarked, "When David had a lot of money, he would be able to do things that he wanted to do."
But it's one thing to hold true to that vow once, you start to make huge amounts of money and doors open up to you that once would never and you know, you're getting all kind of adulation, and success can act as a very strong aphrodisiac.
The funeral service for David Ruffin took place at New Bethel Baptist Church in Detroit, where surviving members of the Temptations performed My Girl. Esteemed artists Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin also lent their voices in tribute during the ceremony. While Michael Jackson generously offered to cover the funeral expenses, he did not attend the service. Floral arrangements were sent by prominent figures such as Rod Stewart, Daryl Hall, and John Oates, Diana Ross, the Spinners, and Martha Reeves, and the Vandellas. David Ruffin's final resting place is in Section 3 at Woodlawn Cemetery in Detroit.